live.
Oh, where you live? Up.
All right.
Say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and agenda as presented.
Second.
A motion from Derby and a second from Smith to approve the minutes and agenda as presented. All in favor say aye.
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 Discussion with possible action regarding fines for Roger Cruz not cleaning up his land.
Did we get some guidance from our county attorney on this? Can we just set the fines and backdate it to when his due deadline was?
You didn't ask me to get.
Okay.
I asked Matt Dubay to be here, but he's not, so.
If I remember right, I thought we could set it.
That's the way it sounded.
Yeah. I thought that even Kelsey gave an opinion on that the last time I had her down here for this.
So maybe we should figure that out first, but we have also been apprised that he has other property in the county as well that may have,
What's the physical location of that one?
I think I have it, that might possibly have tires, lots of tires on it. And I don't know the law about that. Let me find this. Here's the address. Does that help?
Yeah.
47781 47781 160th Avenue. I did also ask, this came from Ethan. I asked him if he was going to be at this meeting today. Oh, well, there he is. Gentlemen, we're talking about Roger Cruz again. So we were just sharing that address of that other site.
It doesn't look like there's too much junk out by the road on it anyway.
No, there's just a big hole.
There's a hole in there somewhere?
Yeah, in the front yard there.
Oh, yeah, okay, there is a hole out there.
Is the house still there?
No.
Wow, this is an old picture.
Yeah, who knows what it looks like today, you know. How long ago did they take these pictures again? Was it, we took just a year ago, wasn't it?
Well, which one you're looking at on here?
I did go look up at it this morning.
Did you? What'd you see?
It doesn't look like anybody's been in there all winter. There's a drift across the driveway, but there's a pile of telephone poles, a camper that doesn't look bad, but then that big hole, and you can't see what's in the hole.
It's just so.
I'm sure. I didn't want to go up
Yeah.
in there either.
Yeah.
The only thing I heard was there was a rumor that all the tires from the junkyard
Get burnt there?
went there. That's a rumor. I don't know if it's true or not.
What's the law about that?
You can't burn tires.
No, but I mean,
You
can
can
you
bury
bury them? Can you?
I don't think there's any law against burying them.
I don't know.
So So anyway, for now though, it's really about setting those fines and if we can,
See, he's got a different address.
Well, if he's gonna leave the area anyway.
Is it Woden now?
Oh, he's got a Woden address now? Huh. I mean, the fines would be levied against the property, and if you don't care about the property.
I guess as we send him a bill first, and if it doesn't get paid, then we levy the property.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
I can't remember what we even said, what they suggested for fines.
$50 a day.
Yeah.
50 a day?
50.
And what was it, February 15th was our deadline,
16.
16th?
And were we gonna make it retroactive back to,
Since we gave him a waiver.
we gave him a waiver, but if we go back, means he didn't make any progress, we have to go back to the beginning and start to find him.
January 16th,
Or then.
we gave him a deadline then.
So how do we do that, Carla? How do you bill?
The house is
How
still
do you
there.
send a
in
bill?
the
Does it
garage.
come from your office then, or where does it come from?
Okay. I think it should come from probably Matt though,
Matt.
because he's been the one in contact with him.
Yeah. I asked him to be here today, but he is not yet, so.
Should we push this off in the meeting a little bit?
He might
Let
show
them
up, yeah.
give their report and we'll come back to it.
Yep.
Actually, that's 15, 30.
All right. Scott Minder's engineer will discuss secondary road matters.
Yeah. I think it's worth pointing out, but it's pretty obvious that the roads are in pretty poor condition, the gravel roads are, with the inch of rain that we got and the warmer temperatures. So we've been getting more calls than usual about road conditions in the last 2 days. Half of them are from hog confinements on level B roads, all coming from one source. So just to tell you what we're doing, we're taking down all of those locations and names and numbers and everything, and we're looking at everyone to make sure we're aware of what the conditions are. When it's frozen, we're going to do our best to try and knock off the ridges from the ruts. There's not a whole lot of, reshaping or like blading like you do in the summer that we can do, and we aren't planning to haul any rock either.
Well, if you haul the rock, it would just be right in the ditch if you had to go out with the blades again and clean the snow off. So
Need a lot of snow events yet.
it is what it is, and it's been that way ever since they built roads, probably.
Yeah.
Do they work with you a little bit though? I mean, do they try to haul it at night after it's got a little crust on it or at all, or not?
No.
No.
That would be
Okay,
nice.
that would, well,
Anybody that we can track down, that's our message. And I had that conversation with Barnhart, who's working on some of the crane company working on some of the wind turbines. We gotta move when it's frozen, otherwise we just have to wait, and hopefully they can work with us on it.
At least they don't have to feed an animal.
Yeah, that's less flexibility for the hog confinements for sure, and so I think,
Well, and finding people that want to work at night instead of during the day is, imagine there'd be a little grumping over that.
Yeah. I mean, the nice part now is like next 2 weeks it has a freeze at night. I mean, Sunday night into Monday yesterday, it just stayed like 35, 36 degrees all night, so. And the inch of rain didn't help us at all, so.
Well, like a few spots too.
Yeah, like today they'll be out there blading up and touching those spots until it gets warm enough and we start leaving ruts ourselves, then we kind of have to pull off. Otherwise we just make a situation worse. But I think over the next few days, like we had like a couple weeks ago, we kind of had the same event. After a few days, they start healing themselves up, so It looks like they'll do the same thing. Just gotta be patient.
So if you get any of those calls or complaints, please forward them along, so at least we know the locations and we've looked at them all. And we'll kind of keep that a running map and list. And our message will be the same. We'll do our very best, but most likely we have to wait till better conditions.
Most people have got it figured out by now. There's just a few that are still confused. Just gotta slow down and try and miss the ruts.
Yeah.
All right, anything else for secondary roads? We'll move on to, well, or do we want to, I suppose you guys are gonna stick around for this bridge one, I assume.
Yeah, and again, I got county 5-year program too, so.
Oh. All right, what we got?
You're the one that made the agenda so long.
Today, well, it's only as long as you want to talk about it.
That's true.
Oh, we still got a minute.
No, this was 9:15.
Well, I guess it,
What? Mine says 9:14. I'm the chairman, mine is official.
I did talk to Chicken Ranch about that road, and they're gonna put rock on it, so. I think,
The whole thing,
no, just there.
just their part.
All right, now that my official time says 9:15, we will go to number 8, 9:15 a.m. Elizabeth Thayer to Gardner and Company to discuss annual report.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Are any questions or just want to go through it quick and go from there? Okay, there was lots of changes, lots of additional stuff that we had to do this year, so it kept it all interesting. So I guess the first place we'll stop is page 2. It's on Gardner and Company letterhead. It's independent auditor's report. Looks a little different from years prior. We had to, as an auditing firm, we had to implement some new auditing standards this year. So it narrows up our independence, what we can and can't do, what we can and can't help with. Some of those rules have changed. It also changed the way that the reports look. So the opinion is right there in the front. It talks about a couple new things in this auditor's report. We have to go ahead and, document that we have remained independent throughout this process from the beginning of the engagement all the way through the end. We also have to talk about going concern issues and have a little blurb in the auditor's report about going concerns. So during the course of the audit, we were looking at the fund balances to determine whether or not there was a going concern issue or not for Winnebago County. And we, again, had to put a little blurb about that in the report, so it looks a little bit different. So this auditor's report, same things as last year. It talks about how the audit is based on tests and samples. We don't look at every single transaction that goes through the county during the fiscal year. This is the auditor's report for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2022. The purpose of the audit is to opine on whether or not the financial statements are fairly presented. The audit is not designed to find fraud or to find errors or irregularities. It is designed to opine on whether or not the financial statements are fairly presented. And for this fiscal year, we have issued an unmodified opinion, which is what you want to hear. That means it is a clean opinion. There were some adjustments that we did find during the course of test work, and all the proposed adjusting journal entries were made by the county so that all the transactions were properly included. So that is kind of the summation then of what this auditor's report is. The management's discussion and analysis starts on page 5. New things for the county this year is that the county was required to implement Governmental Accounting Standards Board Statement number 87 for leases. You passed a policy a few weeks ago in regards to a reporting threshold for your leases. So that threshold is set at $50,000. So anytime that the county is entering into a lease agreement then that is over that $50,000 threshold, it's going to have to be reported on your financial statements. So the asset that's being leased will be included in your capital assets, and then the lease liability will be included then as part of your liabilities. So, moving forward from here on out, anything that's above that $50,000 threshold will have to be included and reported. The rest of the management's discussion and analysis then just goes ahead and describes what all is included in this annual report. It talks about the county's accounting policies and procedures. It also gives some comparative information on page 7 and page 8 and 9, comparing fiscal 22 with fiscal 21. Talks about individual major fund analysis, talking about, what happened within your funds during the year. There's some budgetary highlights that are presented as far as how many times you amended your budget and why. There's some capital asset and debt information. And then there's also a blurb about the economic factors in next year's budgets and rates that talks about what all was considered when you were looking ahead to fiscal 23. So then the actual financial statements start on page 12. And as in prior years, there's 3 sets of financial statements. We have the full accrual that includes all the capital assets and the related debt. We have the modified accrual that mirrors what was presented as the Department of Management's GAAP report. And then because the county budget's on the cash basis, we do include a cash basis set of financial statements as well. So then, like I said, the statement of net position is most like what you would see as a balance sheet in the private sector. It includes all of your capital assets and all of your long-term debt. And then Exhibit B is your statement of activities, which is like your income statement. When we implemented GASB 87, there weren't any leases that qualified to meet that threshold. So with GASB 87, there would have been a requirement to restate beginning net position. Had you had those assets, we would have had to restate assets and we would have had to restate the liabilities. So the net effect would have been 0, but we did not have to do anything with that this year because you didn't have any assets that qualified. So the beginning balance is from last year. We do show a change in net position of $3.3 million. Part of that is probably your ARPA funds that are sitting waiting to be spent. And then as you spend them, we will recognize those dollars being spent. Then starting on page 16, we have the modified accrual basis, which mirrors your GAAP report. There's a balance sheet, and then also Exhibit E is going to be your statement of changes. Something new and different on this year, on page 16, there's a line item called unearned revenue. That is your ARPA dollars. Because you have not spent those ARPA dollars yet, it's sitting in unearned revenue. And then as you spend it in the next fiscal year, we will recognize it as revenue as it is spent. And that is, how the grant agreement reads, how that is supposed to be accounted for. So, that looks a little bit different from prior years because we are recognizing that. Okay, so then with your statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balances, it starts on page 21 and goes through page 24. Again, the change in fund balances is about $1.7 million. So, pretty healthy fund balances there. And in looking at that, that kind of leads into the whole going concern issue that we had to look at this year that was something new. And seeing that, you have those healthy fund balances there, there was no concern with whether or not you would have a going concern for the next 12 months. So we do have that blurb in the independent auditor's report. Okay, so then Exhibits D and Exhibits F are the ones that reconcile the modified accrual financial statements to the full accrual. So, you can step through that and see what's different between those 2 sets of financial statements and how they reconcile. Exhibits G, H, and I are about your proprietary fund, which is your health insurance. Health insurance continues to be challenging to budget for. Trying to provide good health insurance and at a reasonable rate. With you guys, the county did show a modest net income of $40,000, so that's always good news because you kind of never know what the premiums and what the rates are going to be doing in the next fiscal year. So to have a net income like that, definitely a positive thing. And then Exhibits J and K are in relation to your custodial funds, and those are a little snapshot of what happened in the funds that the county is a fiduciary agent for. So. Then on page 32, we start the notes to the financial statements. I'm going to skip through all of those unless there's a question on a specific one. It just goes ahead and explains the accounting policies and procedures, gives a lot of definitions for accounting terminology. There are several pages of pension-related disclosures that are provided by the actuary. One interesting thing about the pension, IPERS had a really, really good year for fiscal 21. And so instead of showing a net pension liability, everybody's showing a net pension asset. So that was, as you know, IPERS is overfunded at this point. You know, that was kind of an interesting change for this fiscal year as well. On page 59, I do want to talk about one of the notes. There's a note 17, the opioid litigation settlement. And Winnebago County was involved with the opioid litigation that was settled. The information became available in December as far as what the counties were going to be collecting. They actually had started collecting. I think you got your first payment in August. So, and you will be receiving payments then on that for the next 17 or 18 years. So with that, we do have a receivable reported on your financial statements. That amount became available from the state auditor's office on December 20th. So they did ask that we go ahead and amend the GAAP report, which Carla has already done. We went ahead and I reworked the GAAP report to include that information that was provided in December by the state auditor's office. So that's already been amended, and so that way the GAAP report reflects those opioid settlement receivables as well. So. And then on page 60, we have our budgetary comparison schedule. This is your cash basis. It's showing the cash in and the cash out for the governmental funds. The less funds not required to be budgeted column is your drainage, because that is not included on your budget document. So then that gets us to the net. We do present the original budgeted amounts along with the final budgeted after the final amendment, and then we also present the variances. So we did have, you know, a big variance for the capital projects line item, but that's always expected. That projects never go the way you think they're going to. You budget for the expenditures, and then Mother Nature kind of usually changes your plans. So the rest of the variances were explained. You know, some of them are kind of significant, but again, there was a reason why. Revenues didn't come in as anticipated, or projects didn't go as anticipated, so there's a variance there. Okay, the pages following that, just some additional required supplementary information about the budget. And then following that, some required supplementary information about the IPERS. And again, IPERS on page 63, you can see that IPERS net position as a percentage of the total pension was overfunded. So we had 100.81%. So like I said, that was kind of a unique thing. We're showing a pension asset instead of a liability this year. More required supplementary information about the pension follows that. Then on page 69, we have the combining balance sheets for the non-major funds, and these are all the little smaller funds that the county has. This gives their detail that's aggregated and then presented in the front as the non-major funds in one column. So we have the balance sheet, the statement of changes, then we have the same for the custodial funds. We have the detail for those smaller funds. And then on Schedule 5, which is on page 77, we have the governmental revenues by source and expenditures by function for the last 10 years so that you can see the trends in the different expenditure line items and the different revenue categories. Then on page 79, we get to another piece of Gardner & Company letterhead. That's the Independent Auditor's Report on Internal Control over Financial Reporting and Non-Compliance. And in addition to opining on whether or not the financial statements are fairly presented, we also do some internal control testing and some Code of Iowa compliance testing. Again, all of this is based on tests and samples. We don't look at every single transaction that might have impacted the findings. So this letter just goes ahead and explains that. And it leads us into the findings, which is everybody's favorite part. The first one is segregation of duties. You're going to have that every year. It's in every single audit report that we issue, and it's just because of the structure of the county. You don't have enough employees to entirely segregate the record keeping with the custody of the cash. So it is possible that an employee could handle a transaction from its inception to its completion. We do have the department heads fill out an internal control questionnaire every year, and you know, we make suggestions about segregating duties and trying to segregate as much as possible with the staff that you have. And then with that, you know, it's important that the supervisors are involved in looking at the claims. You know, that's a big piece of that internal control too. You're looking at them, you're approving them, you're involved in that process. So that's a big part of that. The second finding we have is preparation of full disclosure financial statements. And again, this is in 98% of the reports that we issue. And it's just a disclosure because you don't have a CPA on staff that does the gap report and that prepares the full accrual financial statements along with all of these required disclosures that go in this audit book. So because we assist with that, we are required to put that finding in here as well. On page 82, we did have a financial reporting finding. This year we had material amounts of transfers, capital asset and construction in progress additions, and then the opioid settlement amounts that had been properly recorded in the county's financial statements. We had a transfer that had been approved by the Board of Supervisors, but it was recorded backwards. So we had an adjustment there that we needed to make. And then also with the capital asset and construction in progress additions, making sure that everybody's communicating with the capital asset if there's a project that's in progress, making sure that that gets on the financial statements. And then also with the opioid settlement amounts. Again, the state auditor's office released that in December with those amounts and how they expected those to be reported. And so that one is kind of out of your control because you weren't aware until late in the game that was going to be a requirement for this year. So then starting on page 83, we have the statutory findings. There was a one for the budget this year. The mental health fund exceeded the amounts budgeted and also the debt service. And then there was disbursements in certain departments that exceeded the amounts appropriated. So the departments really need to get involved with watching their budgets and letting Carla know if they need to have an amendment. The departments are the ones that are in their day-to-day business. They know what they're going to have for upcoming expenditures, and it's important that they're communicating, when they need to have an amendment. The second one is the questionable expenditures finding. Again, there's some interest charges, and then there's food here. In the state auditor's office, with our state auditor, Rob Sand, a couple years ago, he really started cracking down on public purpose. That was a real pet project of his, and making sure that tax dollars are being spent for appropriate public purpose and that there is a public benefit. And so he had a definite opinion on how he felt for food for meetings. And he's our oversight. He's the one that provides the guidance and things that he wants us to look at during the year. And so, he's wanting us to report on some of these expenditures for food, and is it truly appropriate? Is there really a public purpose for those things? So, good discussion point with those. On page 84, we did have some related party transactions. Again, the Code of Iowa identifies $6,000 as the threshold for a potential conflict, and the one that we have listed here is well below that $6,000. So this just becomes a transparency disclosure, and there's no finding associated with it. And the last statutory finding we have then is on page 85, and that's in regards to the 911 budget, and disbursements during the year did exceed the amounts budgeted. So the 911 department has that opportunity or that option to go ahead and amend the budget if they need to during the year. So they just need to keep an eye on those expenditures and definitely get an amendment passed if they think it's going to go over. And that's all we have for findings. Any questions, comments, concerns? Like I said, there was a lot of new stuff this year, and with the spending of the ARPA money, you are probably going to have big changes for next year. If you do spend over $750,000 in federal money, in the past that has triggered a single audit. But if you only trigger it because of the ARPA, then they have what's called an alternate examination engagement. And if you are in the process of spending your ARPA money, there's probably a pretty good chance you're going to have that for next year. So then that'll be more changes and more reporting. So, but we didn't have to worry about that this year.
Alternate examination.
Engagement. Oh yeah, and it's actually longer than that, but I've got it shortened down. Yeah.
They try to make it as confusing as possible.
Yeah. The federal government tries to make it as confusing as possible. So.
Your nose must itch a lot because we bring up your name a lot. Elizabeth wouldn't like that. Elizabeth says this.
Yeah, well, I try to keep you guys out of trouble.
You like that?
Yeah, and I would rather, Carla asks me a lot of questions throughout the year, and I'm very glad she does, because I would rather give you the good information and make sure you're doing things right the first time around than to have a problem later down the road.
Even if it's bad information, sometimes that can keep you out of trouble.
Huh?
Even if it's bad information, it can sometimes
Yeah.
keep you out of
Bad
trouble.
news.
You might not always like what I tell you,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to keep you out of trouble. So,
All right, well, thank you.
yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah,
Challenging year.
yeah, it has been very interesting with all the GASB 87, and then, like I said, we had to implement some new independence and auditing standards, and that gets very frustrating for me because sometimes I can't help when I want to. We have to maintain our independence, or, I can't do something for Carla, but I can't audit my own work either. I get why the auditing standards are changing, but it gets very frustrating for me because I can't always just say, do it this way. I have to.
maybe it's because some of the stuff was made by people who don't trust themselves, so they don't trust anybody.
All right, any other?
Thank you.
All
All
right,
right,
thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
It's always a joy to listen to you rattle through this stuff.
I try to give you what you need to know without boring you too bad.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Thanks.
I hear 77, 78, 10-year trend.
Yeah, yeah.
She's good.
All right. I guess we better go to the 9:30 a.m.
Terry, is that who that turned on behind you?
public hearing for max levy.
Oh, boy. I'll make a motion to open the public hearing for max levy.
I'll second.
A motion for me, a second from Smith, to open the public hearing for max levy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Do you have any comments submitted ahead of time?
Nope.
Is there anybody on the phone that has any comments
On the max levy?
on the max levy? Yeah.
Don't open it up.
Yeah, don't open it wide open, yeah, they might give all kinds of personal
I guess we
comments.
can use one of these.
Get a pen, sorry.
Yeah, must have this darn thing in here somewhere.
So the reason for this is for the purpose of announcing to the public, having comment back on our max levy, but our budget isn't necessarily done yet.
We got a couple that we have to take care of that were time sensitive before we can get these.
Good. Look. Well, let me print out another one quick here.
Did you have any comment on our max levy public hearing, Matt? Gotta ask.
Got here too soon, now you gotta sign in, it's a public hearing.
No, it's proof.
They've changed the Department of Management website again. I don't know why they can't just leave it alone.
Looks like I have to sign in there, I recorded it.
Thank you. Well, if nobody cares, can I just have you sign it later?
Yeah.
Okay.
Want to make a last call?
Last call for comments on the public hearing for max levy.
Hearing none, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for max levy.
Second?
Motion Derby, and second Smith to close the public hearing for max levy. All in favor, say aye.
Then we need a motion to approve the max levy.
I'll make the motion to approve the max levy.
Second.
And motion Smith, and second from Derby to approve the max levy. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. Well, we got 5 minutes, we can discuss. We go back to number 4, consider for approval federal aid agreements for the bridge listed. I won't go through all that stuff.
Yep, we'll refer to them as Parent 86 and Parent 87. These are for 2 bridge replacement projects, projects that will replace bridges with culverts. The first one is on the west side of Norway, section 16. And the second one is on the north side of Newton, section 3. These are projects that will be let in December of this year and be scheduled for replacement next summer. Not this coming summer, but the following summer. So we're 24. They are for $300,000 and $250,000 respectively. Projects will be paid for by the county and then be reimbursed federally by federal funds 100%. Both of these bridges are posted with weight limits.
They're both on, are they on gravel roads?
Both on gravel roads.
Of those,
How do you,
go ahead.
you started first.
Of those 4 or 5 bridges that need to be replaced, these are the only 2 that are federal aid funded. Is that how that works? Or am I asking a really stupid question?
Yeah, I may be asking 2 things at once.
Okay,
In the 5-year plan, we have several bridges that are federally funded. This is 2 of maybe
All of them.
2 of 4.
2 of 4.
And of course, there's 15 total bridges to be replaced in the 5-year plan. All the rest of them would be locally funded, paid for out of our own budget.
So why, I can understand, especially on a blacktop, why federal funds, why do these become eligible for full reimbursement on
Yeah.
gravel roads?
For some reason, I'll answer 2 different things. One is bridges on paved systems can be reimbursed 80%, so the county has to come up with a 20% match, which is similar how it always used to be with the federal aid program. However, with the new legislation that passed, the bipartisan infrastructure law, it wanted to fund off-system bridges, which are off the federal aid system, which in our county's gravel roads, at 100%. So anything that's on a gravel road is reimbursed 100%. Whereas like the bridge north of the Buffalo Center there on the paved road, 20% of that will have to come from our farm to market account.
And why don't all the bridges then qualify for this?
Qualify for this funding. The county engineers in our state have determined through their executive board that the bridges need to carry 25 vehicles per day. That's the main criteria that bumps some of our bridges from being eligible. And that's based on the Iowa DOT's traffic counts.
They're not going out and laying down traffic count stuff on our maintenance roads.
Not every road, so I think what they do is they put them on, they're on the paved roads, and then they're on a rotation of gravel roads, and then they do some engineering work to kind of interpolate and try to estimate traffic on the other roads.
So the 25 vehicles per day, if you meet that, then you're in the other criteria, but anything under 25 is, I'm not sure if I'm following.
If the road doesn't have 25 vehicles per day, the federal funding cannot apply to those projects.
No, at all.
At all. So we need to then come up with it locally.
So now, like up by Rake, that bridge just north of Hospice Farm Supply, that one probably almost, I bet it gets awful close to 25 vehicles a day with all the people from Minnesota coming down.
Certainly, that probably would have qualified.
Yeah.
I mean, there are many bridges that qualify for federal funds that we do pay locally just because the federal funds don't go that far.
Mill Road, that's got plenty of traffic on it going north, so that one would then qualify. It's kind of,
Just for your information, we get about $130,000 to $160,000 per year in bridge allocation, so it doesn't go very far.
So even if some of these would qualify, there might not be funds.
That's
Funding
right.
is not gonna
That's right.
follow through.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the federal aid agreements for the 2 bridges as indicated.
I'll second that.
motion from Derby and a second from Smith to approve the federal aid agreements for the 2 bridges listed. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
On the back of the front page, there's a signature block for you and for Carlos.
December is all
Yep, the program for the December letting, if everything goes well and we get easements and everything on time, it'll be December.
Okay.
Hello, this is Cassuth County Boardroom. Winnebago, you guys there?
Yeah, we're here. We're ready, I think, as soon as Bill announces it.
All right. 9:45 a.m. discussion with possible action to have agreement with Cassuth County for advocate services.
Start without Blackbird coming back in. Yeah, we got one board member that's not here, but I guess you guys want to go ahead.
We'll come out of recess and join with Winnebago County. Agenda item of sharing and mental health advocate. Bill, are you the chairman right now? Bill,
Yes,
you the chairman right now?
I am.
Good.
Finally, we've got things back to the natural order.
That's good.
Yeah.
You want your feelings on it? Are you for it, against it, or what are we discussing today?
Well, I could see no reason not to go forward with it.
Good, I cannot either.
It,
Do we need a 2080 agreement, or can we just share?
This is Melissa Lear. Can I go ahead and interject something as well?
you sure can.
Go ahead.
Oh, perfect. Okay, sorry. It's a little hard to hear, so I just wanted to make sure. So if you say something and I don't hear you, stop me. So anyway, good morning, everyone. This is Melissa Lear, and I'm the CEO of Care Connections, and I appreciate everyone getting together to talk through this. Just to kind of rehash kind of where we're at is Cassuth is in need of a mental health advocate. Marty Illig, I believe she was their advocate, retired, and they're kind of in limbo at this point. We had a gal, and she took other employment. So at this point, as far as looking at mental health advocate coverage, As far as I'm aware is that the county would designate that, and then as far as the funding goes for that, the region, all of the salary and benefits go through the region. So I budget that. So I work with Carla and I work with Tammy to, as the county sets that budget and sets that, then I would just run it through ours. And so we're kind of the pass-through for that. And then you guys, again, designate and supervise that. So as far as I go, what we have right now, I'll kind of just tell you the layout. With Care Connections, we have the 6 counties, Osceola, Clay, Palo Alto, Cassuth, Winnebago, and Worth. For 3 of those counties, Osceola, Palo Alto, and Clay, they have Abby Walling as their mental health advocate. And she covers about 9 counties. She's unable to carry over her caseload into that area. And so looking at Ruth Melby, it works really well when advocates share territory and things like that. I am all for Ruth doing it for the reason of consistency as well. So adding Cassuth County on, as far as that goes, would not really cost anything else more for the region, and so it would be cost effective as far as employment goes and things like that. And it would give us consistent coverage for those 3 counties across the board too. I know Ruth has Hancock as well. And so just so you guys are aware, what we do is when she serves Hancock County, then all of her narrative, she enters that into the system. And then Jen, our finance gal, runs a report, and then we bill Hancock County for her services. So when she goes there, and then we get that revenue back from that. So that kind of adjusts out. So that's kind of how we have it set up right now. So what I've sent to you guys in the interim is I do have a temporary mental health agreement that you guys can look through, and then I also have the 28E that it would be between the region and the entity. So I do have those. I'd have to look back to see because I think our 28E agreement may take, I think our board has to sign it, then it has to go out to your boards. I'll have to double check that. So I didn't know if anything, we could get the temporary agreement going while the 28E agreement needed to make its rounds through the board so that we could at least get coverage. So I'm happy to answer any questions or anything from that point on, but that just kind of wanted to fill you in where things were at to get the discussion going. So I appreciate everyone meeting together so we can talk through it and get it finalized.
So really today, all we need to do is approve the sharing.
Yeah, I mean, truly, I guess my other question would be for Winnebago County, if Winnebago County has visited with Ruth on that, and if that's something, again, that they're willing to do and that Ruth is willing to do, so we can start the processes, the paperwork, I guess, next.
I have
Okay,
talked to
so
Ruth.
we make a motion first, and then we can make a motion on this side after they do theirs.
Melissa, this is Carla, and I have talked to Ruth, and she is fine with this.
Awesome.
Awesome, good.
And is there going to be any salary adjustments, or that will stay the same?
Ruth said that she was fine doing it at the salary that she is at.
Okay, perfect.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, so, is that a motion, Mr. Stecker?
I'll let Winnebago take the lead on that, but yeah, when it comes back here, I would.
So this is a joint motion.
Oh, then, yeah, I would,
I'm just
Stecker
asking.
here, I would make a motion.
Is this a joint action or is it individual actions to start it?
I would think that Cassuth, though, would reimburse us for part of Ruth's salary going forward.
Or the region will.
Yeah, it comes through the
Well, I
region.
think Melissa explained that it would
Okay.
go back through, yeah.
Yep. So it just comes through the region. So I budget it out because, as far as our dollars goes, it doesn't come county specific.
Okay.
So it would just come out of the regional budget. And so for Cassuth County, Cassuth does not have to budget anything. Winnebago, we run it through the budget line items. Like we set the salary, or Winnebago sets the salary, benefits, all of that. And then Carla lets me know. And then I budget it through. And then how we do it, because of the way that the law changed last year, we send payments. So we send it, I want to say like every 6 months, we send a payment to Winnebago County so that they can meet payroll, because something with they can't have that general fund 10 anymore.
Right.
So that's how we do it. So that's how it would be. And then Ruth already has it. Anytime that she has mileage or like business cards or anything like that, they invoice us directly and we pay that directly out. So
Sounds good.
So back
Is that
to
a second motion?
Yeah, so I was thinking the same thing you were. Is this a more, a joint motion, or do we each have to make a separate motion?
I think we can do a joint motion, being as we're doing a joint thing, so I think it's fine to, Bill.
All right. Well, then I'll make a motion to enter into an agreement with Cassuth County for advocate services.
Okay, I would second Stecker.
Okay, and a motion from Jensvold and a second from Stecker to enter into an agreement with Cassuth County for advocate services. All in favor say aye.
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 They're all eyes on this side, Bill.
Well, as much as I wanted to vote against it, I did too. I voted for it, so.
Do you guys have a full board?
Is there anything else we need to discuss?
I think they do.
He did, I heard him on. There's nothing we need to do. How about you?
I don't think so.
I will get the agreement sent over. Carla, do you have that agreement, or the 2080 agreement?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'll send them again. I sent them back in October. I'll send them again. Let me look over them one more time just to make sure. I sent them a couple months ago, so let me look over them. I'll resend them and just make sure. So we'll get that in motion here soon. I'll look them over and I'll get them resent so that we can get the paperwork completed.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep. And before we hang up today,
We'll put it on the agenda and okay it.
perfect.
Thank you, guys.
I do have one other question before we hang up. That's not necessarily on this, but can I ask it really quick?
Sure.
My question is, so Care Connections actually has our governing board meeting this afternoon, and so this is more for Bill and Carter. I know that we have a couple other individuals that cannot be there today. I know, Bill, you can't be there. Carter, I know you mentioned you had budget meetings. We have to get our claims and one other thing approved. Is there any way you would be able to sneak out of that meeting and come into Care Connections so that we can get our claims and a few things passed today?
Melissa,
Do they have an electronic option?
we actually are not having budget meetings now today.
Oh.
So I would potentially,
Health insurance at one?
we
We
have
still
health
have-
care at one.
That'll be a big one.
That's what.
I think I would need you probably, I mean, I could make it work into it. If you could make it work, I basically just need someone. I have, I won't have 4, so I'm at 3 right now and 4, and we need to be able to get 2 motions passed. My budget, I think I might wait because I don't have enough people, and I'd rather wait until we do our annual budget when all the board's there. So if I could, I would work around your schedule to run claims and one other thing through.
You can I'll join electronically.
That would be perfect. Electronically would be perfect.
Could you send me the link for that?
Yep.
Do you have a time that you're gonna do it? I mean, I can interrupt what I'm doing too, I suppose.
Oh, Bill, I would hate to do that. You have an important meeting, but either way, I'm thinking I can make it work like 1:45. I mean, if anything, we can wait and hold. I think it would be very early.
Well, if you
1:45.
if you don't have a quorum for those 2, call me.
Okay, I will call you. So, and then. Okay, I'll plan on, Carter, if that works too, I'll plan on like 1:45. We'll try to get those 2 motions right around that point in time. If you can jump on, and Bill,
Yes.
what was that? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt your meetings and ask, but I figured I had you guys, so I'd ask real quick while I had you all there. So
No, no worries. Thank you.
perfect. Thank you all very much. I'll get those out to you guys soon. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Melissa.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Okay, number 5, discuss county 5-year program.
Did you guys want me to print out anything? I guess I sent you a memo and then a map and then the table of the list of projects.
Do you think any of this is gonna need to be adjusted according to the new law that was passed on evaluations?
What do you think the net result would, be for my department? Do we know that yet? I don't think it'd be huge.
And my worry is the impending, legislation
Yeah,
also.
yes. I wouldn't
I mean,
make any too big of plans
yeah,
until we know for sure what's gonna happen.
5 year is
So-
adjustable. I just
Yeah,
gotta make sure that we don't get too far out there.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, with the 5-year plan, we're not guaranteeing anything's gonna get funding either.
Yeah.
We're just saying, based on our best guess and planning optimistically, here's the general prioritization of the project.
You've seen the legislation, I mean, I don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah. I don't, especially with the reserves that we have, I don't think specifically this year it's gonna change what we do. 5-year plans, everything from 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years out.
well,
I've
that's
also
all.
heard they're gonna double the, commercial credit, and they're gonna make it an exemption instead of a credit, which will all come out of our funding instead of the state.
That's really nice to give money back that's not yours in the
Right.
first place.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's, they're doing all sorts of things that are gonna just, I mean, devastate us basically, and so,
So they're doing the same thing at Second Judicial, they're doing the same thing with the takeover on mental health regions. And everything is about making sure that the supervisors have as little input as possible. The Second Judicial District, they're gonna take it to where the head of the Department of Corrections is gonna be making all the decisions. She somehow has more wisdom than 99 county supervisors in their mind. And, the whole direction that things are going right now, all in a hurry, is very alarming to me. They're taking all control away from local control, and they all got themselves elected saying that they're all for home rule. And, anyway. So yeah, we'll have to, the 5-year program is obviously gonna be subject to change
Certainly.
as we figure out what is actually gonna happen.
Yeah.
There's far left and far right people on the Second Judicial Board, and we unanimously voted to fight this thing. And so, I mean, it's even people on the other side.
Well, I guess that's all I had for it, was just being cautious because of impending things.
Sure. The biggest help that the program gives me is sometimes we have to get projects in motion before budget comes. And so, the first year out, we'll have some things organized before the budget's approved, and so that's why, that's probably why it's the most important. The future years out that, we'll juggle probably several times by the time we get to them. But on this plan in 2024, it's the 2 bridges we approved today, the funding agreements, and a bridge project that we have in the budget to do this summer. And then a lot of chip seal work next summer, which we can talk about, come October, what things look like and what we think our budget might end up this year looking like, and what our forecast is gonna look like, and how much construction and maintenance we think we can fit in the upcoming budget. So if you don't have any issues with the prioritization of the order of things, then we'll come back to you with the Iowa DOT 5-year program to approve after the budget's approved. And we'll take the construction projects out of this plan and put them in the county 5-year program. So you'll see that maybe, depend on when our budget gets approved. see it after that. I'll probably bring it the week after that gets done. Whenever that'll be.
All right. Anything else for the 5-year program? Okay, then, should we do, 12 and 13 first?
Or you want to 2?
Or do we wanna go back to 2, and which one of the two do we wanna make wait?
Let's do 2.
All right. Discussion with possible action regarding fines for Roger Cruz not cleaning up his land.
So Matt, we found out that he's bringing more things in. Doesn't seems like there's an exchange of stuff, but not really any less.
More like an operating business.
Yes. So we're considering fines going back to January 16, because we gave him a grace of 30 days. Because he had good intentions, I guess. So now it's to impose per day.
Has anybody contacted him to try and defend himself for what we're about to do now?
Well, that's why we wanted Matt here, because he was the initial person who contacted him with the need to clean it up and get rid of all of the,
But you haven't contacted him lately?
no.
He has documentation. He's been given documentation what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I don't see why we have to babysit him every day.
No, I don't either. All I'm saying is, if I was on the receiving end of what's about to happen, I think I'd be here throwing myself at the mercy of the court. But he does not know this is going on, so you can almost.
No, but we gave him in good faith a
Yeah.
whole extra time to we didn't even tell him he had to have it done. He just need to make progress.
progress
So I
towards
think
it.
we've done our due diligence on this.
Maybe he can say that he's hauled in 20 loads, but he's hauled out 30. Anyway,
But I think the deal was you don't haul any in.
well, that's what, making progress at cleaning it up would be not hauling any in my mind, but,
So Matt, just for the background of it, the secondary roads has been able to kind of monitor it because they go by there and have noticed a lot of additional things. So how does that work when we choose to bill him? Now, where does that come from? Does that come from the auditor? I mean, where does the,
I would think it comes from the zoning, doesn't it?
Our zoning ordinance says that the fines, are from supervisors, so I don't know where
So
that
it'd be
comes
from the office of supervisors?
Yeah.
so it just looks like a bill with a letter attached then? Okay.
I don't know what it is.
Matt, can you write it up,
Yep.
please? And then get it to Carla and then we'll sign it and get it mailed out?
So the details of it are $50 a day
$50 a day.
from starting January 17th till today.
In future.
Ongoing,
Mhm.
yeah, till it's
I'll get something written up and maybe have Kelsey double check it too.
That'd be great.
All right,
All right, we'll
Do we
try
have
to
to
get that
motion-
mailed
Do
out.
we have to motion this?
I don't know, do we?
Because we're setting a fine that wasn't set before.
I would.
I'll make the motion. Set the fine at $50 a day for non-compliance with Roger Cruz,
Starting on
starting on January
17th.
17th to date today.
Until he's cleaned up.
Right.
I'll second that.
motion Smith, and a second from Derby to Set fines at $50 a day for Roger Cruz not cleaning up his land. As stated, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Can we actually hopefully get that done this week?
It probably won't get done this week because Kelsey is in a huge trial. So it'll probably, even if Matt gets it done this week, Kelsey won't be able to look at it probably till next week.
Okay. I'm just saying,
I'll get it
as
emailed
soon as
out.
possible,
Yep,
yeah,
As soon
absolutely.
as she can look at it, when she has time.
that'd be great.
Do you want us to still monitor it?
If
Just
you-
let you know if there's a big
Yes,
change or something?
Yeah, and then I guess there was a little bit more to this story. You maybe can tell it better, that there's another property, on 160th
Norm Rodwin's old place.
that may or may not have,
Tires.
tires. And I guess personally, I don't know what the law is or rules or whatever with,
You know, some livestock people pile up tires to cover silage piles,
Right.
but I don't know how it deals with
so
somebody
that,
who just owns property.
Matt,
I'd say
maybe you
DNR
can,
would probably be the one to ask on that.
Yeah, yeah.
but we can,
And that might be something that even,
Is it impeding? What's the deal, I guess?
I don't even know if they're there, it's just, I heard that when we sold the junkyard, that all the tires get moved to that property. There's a big hole.
I see what you're saying. Yep, okay.
so that address.
The DNR has the ability to go onto
It's right
anybody's
here.
property.
Yeah, I would say it'd be something.
Robert Schwartz might know that too.
Because anytime there's a bus, DNR's first through the door.
So,
Just
just,
the Apple one. This is down here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
just because there has been this non-compliance, it kind of raises a little bit of a red flag, I feel, to keep an eye on what else is going on.
And I noticed his address changed. Got an address, mailing address down in the Woden,
Woden, no.
PO box.
We'll figure out where to send it. Again,
I mean, this week there was no change on that property, but that flatbed was in and out of the property.
the Apple,
Out of the Apple one.
okay.
Yeah, if you ever watched Animal House, this guy kind of seems like Niedermeyer. I'll spare you the rest of it.
Oh, I've seen it.
I think we've been very lenient with this. Given every opportunity that we could afford them.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. I sent you guys each email that for drainage matters. You, I don't know if you want to have time to look at it or not, but
When did you send it?
I just sent it 2 minutes ago.
Oh, all right. I was gonna say, I don't remember seeing one. Sometimes with my club thumbs, when I'm trying to scroll through things, I swipe it and erase it.
I'm not getting anything.
Oh, okay.
Oh, man, I'm trying to figure out what to push on.
It's about beaver dams.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like-
think you can fill that little box, or,
There is no little box.
Your
really?
basement or?
Maybe I didn't send the attachment,
I don't know.
sorry. Let me try again.
I don't know what the drive shares DM, no reply. at
That's just an
Google.com.
address.
Yeah, that's,
Oh, maybe I'll have to try it again. I'll just, when we get to drainage, I'll just tell you what it is, and then I'll redo it.
Well, that's now.
okay, well, we'll skip to number 12. Mary Lou Cleveland, Veterans Affairs, to discuss 2022 annual report.
Thank you.
I guess we get.
Yeah, thanks so much for showing up.
You bet.
Okay, just for your reference, I've also attached the October to December quarterly report. But 2022 was my first full year as the Veterans Affairs Officer, so that's really cool. And it gave me a really good ability to be able to assess where the office is at. So you can see the numbers here. I was very busy. I had over 1,200 phone calls and 228 office visits, and then 30 nursing home or home visits for veterans that are not able to come to my office. You can see the numbers there as far as claims. Probably the most significant is that there are 45 claims that are pending or under review. And that means they're either in the process of being developed, or they've been submitted and we've gotten a decision, or they've been submitted and we're waiting on a decision. The most significant achievement for me personally was getting all of my training done. So I completed all the training required by the National Association of County Veteran Service Officers. And then I was able to become accredited with Disabled American Veterans, the American Legion, and Veterans of Foreign Wars. I got my PIV card and security clearance as well. And I commented that it has been a game changer, and it really has, because I can go in and look exactly what's going on with the claims of the veterans and monitor if anything else needs to be done. I had a good year working with the businesses here in Winnebago County, and I'm really grateful for that. I worked closely with KIOW, Bison Graphics, MJ Embroidery, and Forest City Granite Works, and then Hy-Vee did have red bags that benefited my office twice during the 2022 year. I had some really good opportunities to get exposure for my office. The beginning of the year, I went to all of the breakfasts at the American Legion and VFW, so I covered Lake Mills, Forest City, Leland, and Buffalo Center. And that was a really good opportunity for people to connect a face with a name, let them know we were open 40 hours now, and also just answer questions. People feel sometimes a little more comfortable just asking a question before they follow up with a phone call to come in. Also, November was huge, Operation Greenlight. I attended 3 local Veterans Day programs. And then and at those programs, I had information available. And then we did the Home-Based Iowa Designation Celebration. And that opportunity was very significant because I was able to give an overview of my office and what services we provide. And the Summit Tribune was there. And then they interviewed me as well as the HBI people. So they put in a really well-written article in this, published in the Summit Tribune, giving a great overview of not only my office, but the Home-Based Iowa program. So we were also able to replace Troy Thompson, and he was sworn in as our new commissioner at the end of November. So I'm very grateful to have a full commissioner board again. And then just to kind of wrap this up, at the end of December, there were 232 veterans or their surviving spouses receiving monthly financial compensation in Winnebago County. And at the end of 2022, the compensation coming in monthly to Winnebago County is $278,461, and that's from compensation and pension payments. And this number did increase between December 2021 and December of 2022. And I really anticipate that number continuing to grow. I continue to have a very steady stream of veterans in my office. And we're also waiting.
You are the only participant.
There are also quite a number of claims that are waiting to be they're with the VA, they're waiting to be processed and rated, and then a final decision made. So that number will increase. And I'd just like to say it's my honor to serve the veterans of this county. Very grateful for this position, and I meet the coolest people. I mean, veterans are some of the most interesting people, and I love hearing their stories, and most of them have such a humility about their service as well. So, are there any questions or concerns?
It's good that you're there to help them find all these things that they should have been qualifying for years that
Right.
they never got pointed in the
Yeah.
right. Because especially as an elderly veteran, trying to walk through all this, it's,
Very
and all the red tape and the hoops you gotta jump through, it's sure.
Exactly. And a lot of them should have come in a lot sooner. They would have been qualified a lot sooner. And then I probably should have mentioned the PACT Act, but that's bumping up, claims as well. Hypertension is finally covered for Vietnam veterans, and that was 40 years in the making. So there's a lot of new claims for that. And now we're seeing a lot of Gulf War veterans come in with pretty significant issues. And the PACT Act kind of jumped ahead of, they're trying not to have the same problems they had with hypertension. So they've added a lot of presumptives for Gulf War veterans because I think they finally know that toxic exposure does really bad things. So yeah, there's been a steady stream, but like you said, that's why I often make home visits because we've got some very ill, veterans, or they're just elderly and they can't come in. So
when you do that, Mary Lou, do you always have information for public health for those guys?
the public health, if they are in need of those services, that actually they need a referral from their VA doctor, and then their VA doctor writes the referral, and it goes directly to Jolie Sorensen, and then Jolie assigns somebody, whether it be a nurse or a home health aide, and if she does assign a nurse, I work cooperatively with them.
So can you help them get that connection?
Mhm. Yes, because I talk regularly to this Mason City social worker, and so if there's a snag in any services, recently I had a gentleman who'd had a referral made back in November for diabetic shoes, and we kept checking on it, and for some reason it kind of got lost in the VA system. And so after several phone calls and working with the social worker at Mason City VA, we were able to get it taken care of. But she's wonderful, and if there's any referrals I need to make or anything I need to figure out for a veteran that maybe isn't clear, that's kind of a hard thing. VA healthcare, sometimes the veteran isn't clear about what was said or needs to be done. And for some of our veterans, they really don't have family support. So that's kind of hard too, because then they're trying to, keep it all straight. So lots of times I call and just say, what's going on and how can I help with this?
So this Veterans Trust Fund, is that the state fund?
That's the state fund that's currently frozen. Thankfully, the two that I had were started in February of 2022, and then they were decided in June. But right now, I've handed out some Veteran Trust Fund applications since it's been frozen, but letting people know, I do not know when the funds will be unfrozen. There's talk that there's gonna be like an emergency amount given. However, they're gonna review the applications that have been waiting in the order that they were received. So I would guess they have.
It would really disappoint me if they didn't address this, because Home Base Iowa is bringing people to the state, but yet they're not gonna fund them.
Exactly. And you have a lot of veterans
Just
like.
another unfunded mandate?
Exactly, and I have a veteran right now who cannot afford to have dental work. And we're working on a pension for him, but even if he gets that, that's not gonna be very much. He literally cannot afford like $6,000 to $8,000 worth of dental work, but yet he served. And so, you have to be at 100% service connection to get dental. And that's very uncommon and very hard to achieve. You have to have a significant amount of medical conditions, and they have to be pretty severe in certain areas. You either have to have a lot, or the ones you do have are pretty severe.
They have to be connected to your service, right?
Right. So I did get somebody service connected at 100% last year. So, she worked really cooperatively with disabled American veterans too, between the two of us. It was when I was beginning of the year, so I was kind of brand new, but, yeah, I've seen some real success. I was able to get 2 widows, DIC compensation, and that is, or DIC pension, I mean, and that is a pension that they did not have to prove any kind of financial, they didn't have to meet any financial criteria. It's because their spouses died of a service-connected condition, and they'll get that money until their death. And it's a much higher rate than a regular pension. So that was a real benefit for 2 widows, and I'm waiting on a decision on a third one. So yeah, it's very busy in my office, but it's a good thing. It really is. There's a lot of veterans that are coming in, and then we're able to work with them and get them better benefits. I mean, that's the whole thing, is they've earned those benefits, and yeah. So,
No, that's why we made this a full-time position, is so we
Yeah.
could have someone that could serve those who served. I mean, it's,
and I'm very grateful, because even with 40 hours, it's crazy busy. 20 hours, you just wouldn't have the time to serve the number, or even to work on some of the more complicated claims, because they do take a lot more time.
the more you do it, the better you'll get at it too. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I do feel like now I can answer questions. I feel like when the beginning I was like, let me check about that on just about everything. But yeah, and I'm still, utilizing my mentors, especially on pensions. Pensions can be really tricky because of all the criteria.
Congratulations on your training and your
Thank you.
accreditation.
It's been super helpful. Yeah.
All right. Consider for approval the 2022 Veterans Affairs Annual Report.
I'll make a motion to approve the Veterans Affairs 2022 Annual Report.
I'll second.
Motion Derby and a second for Smith to approve the 2022 Veterans Affairs Annual Report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank
All
you
right,
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Keep up the good work.
I will.
All right.
So was there one we have to stamp and sign on that?
Yeah,
Is
you
there
need one of
something
them?
that,
Yeah, just grab one of them and
I wrote on mine, sorry.
I guess I didn't.
Just the front is fine.
Yeah, number 6, Auditor's Office. Means it's facing your way, and you have to do it.
Or we just turn it.
7511, isn't it?
she's not in there. She's downstairs in the break room.
Oh, all right.
Give me just a second. I'll call her.
Want to do the number 7?
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the liquor license for the Barn Goose Recreation.
I'll second.
Motion Gentle and a second Derby to approve a liquor license for the Barn Goose Recreation. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I guess, where the Joyce is gonna run. Joyce Griffin.
Oh.
Let me,
Do you want this copy
I'll be right back.
for yourself? No. Since you gave yours up. So what I was trying to send you guys, but I must not have put the attachment on, is that I had Myron Lepkus drone 2 ditches, one that was potentially blocked with.
Hard to tell this time of year.
It's amazing. The drone photos it's so
Oh, yeah?
easy to tell. Hard to believe that you can see it. And then where they took them out,
Even with
Two.
the ice and stuff, you could tell where the beaver dams
it's
are.
really cool. I mean, you can see the
Okay.
tracks of the, so I just wanted to show you how simple that was to check a lot of things. Well, we all knew it would be, not just beaver dams, but, so
Muted.
he actually would be willing to do that for other situations.
There you go.
Our thing here just said mute,
Somebody,
and it wasn't in, it was like in British.
Yeah, yeah.
Unmuted.
Real
did
stuff.
somebody hit a number 2 with, or did somebody say the number 2?
Nope.
Because that's what it is.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding, so if you,
Well, now we finally
if you
figured
say
that out.
that number, it will
Well, if
automatically?
you ding the number 2 on that phone and it hears it, it'll mute it.
Oh, that tone.
The
Yeah.
tone. Oh, that's
Yep.
funny.
I'm right here.
Hi.
My goodness.
Right, okay.
Oh, she's back to her. She's back to her maiden name.
Got all sorts for us?
The only thing I had is Jim Benson came in yesterday and there's been an issue out there. Some of DD 71, just east of town, is supposed to go south, water goes south into DD 5. So on the bowling alley road, on the west side of the ditch, there's the tile of DD 71 goes along the ditch and then goes back southwest. Well, there's been a culvert put in under the road, so now that water goes under the road and then into DD 5 lot 6 or 7, and they're not paying for that.
Was there not a culvert there before?
No.
When was
And
this culvert put in?
I don't know. Scott was not sure. Jim Benson is the landowner who talked about it, and there was a couple put in that Scott's not sure the dates. And when they did that, they maybe didn't realize that they were letting
Switching
this water.
one
Yeah, I
use
mean,
to another.
so it's nobody's fault. There's no blame, but I don't know how to make it right now. Those people in DD 71 are paying towards any main ditch fixes of 5 because that's where they empty into. But this lateral 6 or 7, it's lateral 7, is taking on so much more water and it's undersized and it goes right onto Jim Benson's property. And sometimes when there's a lot of water like yesterday, you know, he said he's had pictures of his LP tank is almost gonna float away because there's so much water. Well, how do we relieve that for him? I don't know. So I'm just,
So,
Is it because of the culvert? then?
yes, because now the water goes through the culvert instead
But
of
how
going
many
down.
years
where
has
did
that
that
been
water
there?
stay before when the culvert was there?
I have a picture. I don't know if you can see this. So it used to be, so here's the bowling alley road. There's Jim Benson's property. This water used to all go this way, down where it's supposed to. And this landowner has dug down into here, which hits into that culvert, and then it gets over into here. So the water's going here instead of around back to where it's supposed to. And this, they made this driveway bigger because this landowner wanted to have a place for semis to turn around, and there's not a culvert there. So it's pushing just a lot of water across the road. So I
Sounds like.
I don't know how to fix it. Right. I just don't know what to do. I wanted to bring it to your attention.
Well,
Obviously, it's not a problem when there's no water flowing,
yeah, yeah.
but
Right now, it's a really weird situation in drainage everywhere.
Well, every spring,
Because stuff is not, but it's even weirder
we
than
got too
lots
many
of
ice,
stuff.
ice.
and
dams.
like he said, you know, it's undersized and there's a culvert in this
So-
ditch that he didn't even know was there. One day the grass was kind of low and he's like, wait a minute, where's that water going? And found an intake there.
Okay.
And it's been running, but
So.
I mean, he's got waterways here that he doesn't, you know, he just wants the water to go away, and some do it right and some do not. I don't know what to do. But I
Well,
wanted to start with you guys
if-
because,
If the water is flowing through there, then it needs to be addressed, because if they have to improve that to handle that water, then this guy that's dumping the water in there should be part of paying for it.
yes, and they're not.
And, yeah, so I mean, that's,
Is that a question for our IDDA?
Could be. My original thought was we needed to, I mean, we've just reclassified 5. I feel like we should reclassify that lateral.
yeah, I was gonna say, the only way you can get it done is a reclassification. So,
Right. I just don't know
uh,
how that should get paid because normally it's a landowner that pays after the fact. So,
But it should, reclassify flat 7.
mm-hmm. So,
a reclassification, and if they get,
you know,
I mean,
'cause-
the only other solution is to plug the culverts that shouldn't be there.
right, but
Or
that's a,
just to let it
Yeah.
have the water go
God.
the way it was.
Benson petition for reclassification of last.
anybody can.
So that would be a start.
And maybe.
Then
Because if
it's
you
out
look
of
at it from, you know, here's DD5 lat 7, it cuts off well before his house.
Yeah,
So all this water is going through his land to get to that tile,
yeah,
you know, because here's that gravel road, and there's his house, and this is all supposed to go south and then back and then hit DD5 down here.
So
Yeah.
it just got diverted.
It did.
It's
It really
taking,
just-
And they felt that that wasn't a diversion at all by digging that there.
That opened up a lot of acres to.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ideally, it'd be nice if it just went where it was supposed to go.
So,
That's not the easy road.
No.
yeah, it's,
and maybe we should have Scott here to find out what can be done with
Well,
those culverts.
what's-
I don't know.
Find anymore.
have Scott find if he can figure out when it was actually done.
And why?
And why, yeah,
Because there's 2 culverts, or it's not just one.
and,
Are they like 2 different sizes, like they
I don't know
improved it or
that.
something?
I don't know that.
cause you shouldn't be able to affect other people's property with
Right.
much, you know.
And
Was this
Not on this
done by the request of the landowner that wanted to get rid of his water that they put in these?
they did not even call one call. And they saw him digging and they all of a sudden quit digging.
Oh,
I mean,
And so check on that driveway too and just see what's going on there.
right. So this was just a start. He just came in yesterday and I wanted to bring it to your guys' attention.
all right.
That's there and
I guess that'd be my suggestion. We got a petition.
okay.
Yes.
Okay. I can do that. Thank
One
you.
before the other.
Yeah. And then I was just meeting with Rick Hopper and the commissioners of those districts of the secondary road parcels. So they understood the reasoning why it was done the first way, why it's done this new way. Looks to be more equitable, the secondary road parcel. Rick has met with Cassuth County, and then he's on his way to Hancock County, because we had a couple joint ones. Get that taken care of. He's gonna talk to Colin and find out when we can put it on the board of agenda to come in and talk to you guys about it, to set a public hearing for all of them. So, we just did the first part today. And that's all I know.
Anything else for drainage?
Just that I'm gonna email you guys those drone,
Put it
videos and photos of those
Beaver
2
dams.
dishes, the 2 beaver dam ditches.
Oh,
I had a friend drone those,
oh, nice.
so, and it's really interesting, you can see them, even though it's snow and ice and stuff.
Well, I suppose the water is higher behind them, so.
And it's flowing below it, and it's really fun to see, so.
Okay.
If you see those, there's 4 or 5 of them coming through, but then there's still shots, like if we ever needed somebody to drone these
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
He would be happy to do it, I'm sure you would just tell him which lateral you're wanting
Mhm.
to look at, or which ditch, and so I'll send them to you if you see them come through, it's
Yeah,
just
thank you.
kind of fun.
Yeah.
One of them is actually shows the excavator taking it out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll see those coming through. That's all I had.
Have anything?
I'm good.
All
You
right,
got quite a stack of stuff over there, Chris.
Yeah.
all kinds of goodies.
It's going great.
Yeah,
But once we get them right, then it'll be good.
all right.
So, all right, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, number 9, open forum.
Let's see. For your reading pleasure. That's stamped received. And your signature, please. Oh, and then I gotta take this back to Chelsea. Those are for you to keep, so you don't need to.
We also have the 11:30 today,
I think so, don't we?
What's that?
the 11:30 meeting, conference board.
You know, she sent out an email that she was wondering if we were supposed to
Well,
collect it, we read it.
That's because
I
it
don't-
was
I never got
suggested
it.
that we email instead of hard copy.
Yeah, but I can't find that email. She said she sent it like
I got it.
February 3rd or whatever. And I either erased it, one of them that I flipping through and got it with my club thumb, or,
Well, sometimes if there's a response thing, it automatically prompts it out of your inbox. I've had that with like some
really?
That
Google,
anything
some
that
of the
requests.
Google invites, when you respond to them, it just automatically goes into your deleted.
Oh, really? See, I can't remember. I was always
This was one of them.
gonna call her and have her resend it.
You can see if yours is on.
Because I went back, of course, lots of times you're looking through your emails trying to find it, so you see every email there except for the one you wanted to see for some reason. But I went through more than once trying to find it.
I don't see you.
Well, that makes me feel better, and that means I didn't.
No, you're at the top of the list.
I'm at the top of the list. What was
It's on
the
the
date?
21st.
The 21st of February?
Yes.
I thought she sent it on. Oh, it said to me.
She also sent it on February 3rd.
Oh, all right. So she resent it on the 21st.
You just, yeah, I searched for
Carla
Suzanne.
Weiss, I don't have anything on the 21st either.
Is it in your other, or do you have other and focused?
Other folder.
Well, like, I'll show
Just
you mine.
focused. A lot of times I find stuff in the other though.
Yeah. Just do your search for Suzanne. It'll show you which ones came up. we on to 14 now?
Okay, it says February 21st. Oh, there's one from wind towers. Examining board members. Now, why is it coming up there, but it won't come up on my regular email?
Where does it say it is? Is it in the inbox or is it in the,
It says in mail.
well, we better keep going on our agenda.
All right. Number 14, rescind waste management motion from last week.
I guess it's because we have to
Follow the rules.
follow the 90-day clause.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to rescind the motion from last week that would put an end to our contract with Waste Management.
I'll second that.
Derby and a second from Smith to rescind the waste management motion from last week. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, number 15, consider for approval termination of waste management contract effective May 31st, 2023.
I'll make a motion to terminate waste management contract effective May 31st, 2023.
Second.
Motion from Derby and a second from Smith to approve termination of waste management contract effective May 31st, 2023. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's just the contract.
Yeah.
Just need to sign it, please.
Oh, I didn't see an official, just sign it right here.
No. There you go. Don't give me heart attacks, Bill.
You all right?
I am now. So,
So,
people, what give me a stroke? Good Lord.
all right, we'll take a moment for Carla to regain her composure.
Thank you. Here's the payroll.
Consider for approval of county claims.
Oh, before we do the county claims, I do have one from last week that I forgot to talk to you about before you went ahead and approved it, because I forgot to talk to you about it. This one, so there's a late fee on the credit card for this one. We don't pay late fees. And the department head wants the late fee paid. We told him no, and he said yes. So I said I would take it to the supervisors, so you guys can decide.
That's what Elizabeth was just talking about, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fines and late fees.
Fines and late fees.
Why was there late?
Because they weren't sure if they were gonna go, and then they got a late fee for signing up late. And what Chris told them was you sign up and then you cancel your registration instead of getting a late fee.
I did have I don't know if it's the same thing, but I did have an issue with ISAC's website trying to get in on the last day, and they'd already closed it. And then they won't let you sign up later, and so it's really screwed up. They need to do a better job of managing their website somehow.
Well, you can always call me and I can help get you signed up too.
It was like a little after, quarter after 4, I was trying to get it done. And I'm frustrated trying to get it in, it wouldn't take it. So
So because we already approved this last week,
Well, I just white out, because Chris didn't put a note on it and I just sent it through and
yeah, actually, I did look at it and think it looked really confusing. I should have asked.
Yes, it's the same one I looked at.
Lots of moving parts here.
yeah, usually if I send a claim like that, it's because there's a problem with it. And I just forgot to talk to you about it.
yeah, I remember it.
Mhm.
No, I agree.
So,
The action on it.
yeah, we'd make a motion not to approve the $20 for the late fee. Or however, it's too late, I can't remember.
You know, I think we all looked at it and we're kind of wondering, and we all should have asked, so it's not your fault. Just a lot of stuff there.
Well, we had a busy week it was a long meeting and I just didn't. So anyway, here's the rest of the claims.
So would we just make a motion to pay the county claims less the late fees? No,
Yeah, I think that'd be fine.
I'll make a motion to pay the county claims except for the late fees.
I'll second it. A motion from Derby and a second from Johnsball to approve the county claims less the late fees. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I was just looking at this one just because
It was complicated.
there's lots of stuff going on, and I didn't even notice the late fees.
If you want to just, under your signature,
Sign it again.
just put minus late fees on there. Good job, Bill.
See this?
So proud of you.
My big way pants on today.
We should have a round of applause.
You have to take it out of the box though. I don't want to tell you how to do it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like Terry's never wanted to tell anybody how to do it. It even works.
So you want to leave that bad boy in my vault?
You gonna take care of it for me?
I can.
That's where if we get a new office somewhere, we have lockable drawers. We have our own key.
There's a key over there, I just don't know where it is.
That drawer does, yeah.
Yeah, there's
The
a
one
key.
does lock. wouldn't it?
Yeah. I don't know, maybe you should check the drawers. Maybe there is a key laying over there someplace.
Maybe it's stuck in the one drawer amongst all the stuff in there.
Who knows?
Then he'd take the key home with him.
I
and
wouldn't
then
let
he'd
him
be
take
there
the
one
key
day,
home with
And then we
him.
can't get at anything. Not that you do.
I would keep the key in my vault.
You have to stamp all of these.
Oh.
This,
Once you can aim and get it right direction.
I've even got it on the line so far. I'm doing pretty good. It's,
Things are pretty fancy.
oh, yeah, golly. It's hardly know how to act. Jethro's barbecue.
I like Jethro's barbecue.
Where's that at?
Going down to Ankeny, one in Des Moines, by Altoona.
Oh, yeah?
They're around.
I've never seen one.
Ankeny would be the west part in the new area. Ivy over off Oral Lane.
The one that's really good is down in Altoona,
What's that?
the Jethro's
Jethro's
barbecue.
barbecue.
You gotta go to that one.
All these need to be, right?
What's that?
Each individual one of these needs to be stamped, right?
Yeah.
Did I do that wrong too?
What's that? Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right, you're still in training.
Should know by now.
You got another 9 months to get it right.
Just not let you forget your stamper for.
Hey Louise, how are you? Good, how are you? Great. Great. How you been?
Busy,
I hear ya.
yeah, on the road with grandkids and city stuff, of course, and
Yeah.
budgets coming up, and, yeah, so
Aren't you glad you get to redo your budget?
we had not done it. But got the message from Ted Nelson saying that it was not due till the end of April. We just put it on. So, yes, that's coming. And I'm sure there are a lot that probably weren't happy about it.
We had ours about completed, and so now I'm working on redoing the evaluations, so,
We do the max levy anyway, figure we're gonna do it.
yeah, we did our max levy. We had our public hearing today.
I heard on the news about the Garner one, that they're so frugal and their numbers are so low, they don't have to worry.
It's easy
Anyway,
when you have all the industry.
And the houses and.
right. Well, our valuation increased 44%.
That building,
Elevator,
that big storage building.
huge. Yeah, that's gonna provide some nice revenue.
Yeah,
That would be nice.
As long as they don't turn around and cap you on it. That's that one bill. Is it the
Yeah,
cities too, or
yep,
where you can only increase your budget so much even though your valuations went up? Cap
yeah,
at
that's the new thing that
1.3%,
there's,
or at 103%.
Really.
yeah.
That'd be nice. if
You
they
might
did
have
that.
just burst her bubble there, guys.
Just
And they're putting up a liquid
liquid
fertilizer
fertilizer building
plant.
too, it looks like it's gonna be a
Yes.
nice big one, that's gonna be a
Yes.
couple $1 million at least.
Are you at 810, at the 810?
Yes,
Okay, good. Because they're saying if you're not at the 810, that they won't let you get there if you're not there now.
no, we
So-
are there.
What's the
Okay.
810?
It's the city's max levy,
Oh, okay.
so they're,
Yeah.
like, Scarville's not at 810. So like if they're not there, they won't let them get there.
No.
So it's,
Ouch,
yeah.
ouch.
Well, like Leland, they have been, I should shut up. Oh, never mind. We're on YouTube.
Yeah.
Just hate you.
No, that I said to, our manager and CEO
Make a motion to
of
approve the county
Lancaster,
claims, or did we
when they
already do
were
that?
doing this,
Oh, I did the claims. You
I
did the
said,
payroll.
I'll make a motion to approve the payroll.
I'll second it.
Did we already vote on that?
I said Scott and said Ray knows and what
I didn't mark it,
Don't you
but
remember I said less the,
and he
Oh,
said,
yeah,
please,
now, yeah.
we would like this to be the
all in favor?
second biggest site
Now we're doing the payroll claims.
as far
That was
as
Motion from Smith and a
green
second from Brady to
storage.
approve the payroll claims, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Great. Now, they want
okay, so now I want to
Yeah.
make sure we got
So
signatures in the right.
they're not gonna stop it till
Where are
next
the
year.
claims at?
So-
Is there a sheet of claims?
September,
Or just
we
individual
should-
claims?
So for this budget year, you get your,
see the,
That was
yes.
payroll,
get your
right?
hand up as high as you can. Because next year,
It's just individual.
It's not-
whatever you have next year.
Well, yeah, I didn't see a follow up.
Just wanna
I
make sure we
may
got
get
all
a
our
technology
signatures on that.
sudden call. Yeah, we'll see where that ends.
That's what I like about these
Well,
guys, it's
just
high
a
tech.
warning to you, I don't know if they'll pass or not, but something to think about.
So is it looking like it's going to, is there
I've never seen one this bad.
Wow,
a
they
large
must have been in
group in
earlier.
favor of it?
I don't know, it was somebody, I read somewhere, somebody.
This is the one I was
Are we,
Yes.
sort of adjourned?
stand adjourned.
Yeah, I guess we've done everything. We stand adjourned if you want to shut everything off.
Thank you.